From today, Singaporeans between the ages of 12 and 39 can register online for their Covid-19 vaccinations. The Straits Times' journalist Timothy Goh demonstrates how to use a DIY Covid-19 antigen rapid test kit.
It's really no different to picking your nose though. Overall, I found it very simple to use, even as one person on my own.
And with the Euros kicking off tonight, the Straits Times picks out the top 5 players to look out for. Good evening, you're watching The Big Story coming to you live from the Straits Times newsroom. I'm Harianto Diman. You can subscribe to the Straits Times channel so you never miss a single episode. Singapore reported 3 new Covid-19 cases in the community today, all currently unlinked. 6 other cases were imported, 5 being Singaporeans or PRs. More details will be released tonight. 4 people are under investigation for abusing enforcement officers and flouting safe distancing measures. The police said that the 3 men and a woman who are between 25 and 54 years old allegedly committed the offences in 3 separate incidents. The offences included allegedly using abusive language, using criminal force and voluntarily causing hurt. Separately, since the start of Phase 2 heightened alert for premises and 77 individuals have been penalised for breaching safe management measures. Agencies have also identified hotspots where breaches are more likely to be committed, like parks and HDB common areas, and have stepped up enforcement at these locations. Meanwhile, 2 premises have been ordered to close: the Stars Bistro at East Coast Road and Steam-Off Steamboat Buffet Restaurant at Beach Road. The closure orders will take effect when dining in is allowed to resume. And 2 retail outlets were also fined $1,000 each for not having staff to oversee the safe entry checkpoints. Separately, in a first offence of its kind, a local company is being investigated for manufacturing surgical masks here without a license. The manufacturing was observed to have taken place in an unhygienic and makeshift environment at a facility in Ubi Crescent, with masks placed in carton boxes and left out in the open. A total of 33 cartons, each containing about 2,500 masks, were seized. Offenders, if convicted, could be jailed for up to 2 years or fined up to $50,000 or both. From today, Singaporeans between 12 and 39 years old can start to book their vaccination appointments. Those in this age group will have a 2-week priority window to do their booking. And as more people get vaccinated, Singapore can open up and resume more activities. Sharing some figures on his Facebook yesterday, Finance Minister Lawrence Wong said about 50% of the population is expected to be fully vaccinated by August, and the number should reach 75% or more by October. Now, this is the last weekend before Singapore enters a new Phase 3 heightened alert, with restrictions being gradually lifted in 2 stages. Let's do a quick recap of some of the things you can do from next Monday, June the 14th. Now, you can have group social gatherings of up to 5 people in total. You can also have up to 5 guests over at your place. If you're looking to have a staycation, up to 5 people in each room is allowed for hotel stays. A pampering personal care session like facials and saunas is also allowed. Singapore is rolling out another new way to fight Covid-19. From next Wednesday, you can buy DIY Covid-19 test kits from Watsons, Guardian and Unity. The goal is to make testing fast, easy and accessible so that more activities can resume. As the journalist Timothy Goh takes a look at how these self-administered test kits actually work.
As more frequent testing for Covid-19 becomes part of the new normal here in Singapore, DIY test kits like this one will be sold at pharmacies from June 16th. Today, I'm going to try out one of the 4 approved kits here, the Abbott PanBio Covid-19 Antigen Self-Test, to see how easy it is to use. This particular test will be sold for about $10 to $13. Now, if you're a frontline worker or someone who just interacts with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis and either need to get a test or just want to take one for peace of mind, then DIY test kits may be an option for you. Personally, I've not used a DIY test kit before, so my experience today will be similar to yours if you were to buy one off the shelf. After reading the instructions, I'm ready for the test. Just a disclaimer, these instructions are specifically for the Abbott kit, so there may be some variations when it comes to the other test kits. First, wash or sanitize your hands. Make sure they are dry before starting. Open the box carefully and do not open the sealed individual parts until instructed. Squeeze the liquid from the buffer bottle into the tube. Check that the liquid should be at or slightly above the fill line. Now it's time for the swab. Insert the swab about 2 cm into your nostril and slowly rotate it along the insides of your nasal passage at least 5 times. Do this for both nostrils. While my colleagues get to review things like gourmet food or gaming laptops, I have the wonderful, amazing privilege of sticking something like this up my nose. I bet they're real envious of me right now. Insert the swab into the tube. Swirl it in the fluid 5 or more times and pinch the swab through the tube to squeeze out any remaining fluid. Snap the swab handle at the break line and leave the swab inside the tube before capping it. Remove the test device from its package. Keep the tube vertical and check for any bubbles in the liquid. Bubbles may lead to inaccurate results, so wait for them to disappear. Remove the white cap and squeeze 5 drops of liquid into the well on the test device. Now, wait for 15 minutes. Be sure you do not wait any longer than 20 minutes. After 15 minutes, it's time for the results. If you see only one line next to the C, this means that COVID-19 was not detected. If you see 2 lines, no matter how faint, you should see a doctor. Place the swab, tube and test device into the bag. No souvenirs. Seal the bag tightly and throw it away. So the test result is negative, and my colleague behind the camera can heave a sigh of relief now. There were more steps to follow than I expected, I'll admit. You know, when you go outside to get swabbed, all you do is sit there and let the swabber do the work. So I didn't know that so much went on behind the scenes. But that being said, the instructions were very detailed and easy to follow. I've taken several PCR swabs before, and this was definitely much more comfortable. It was totally painless for me, but maybe my pain tolerance is a little higher. It's really no different to picking your nose though. Overall, I found it very simple to use, even as one person on my own. Now, some points to note: the accuracy of this test is about 80%, which is not as accurate as a regular PCR swab test. This means that even if you do test negative, you should continue to observe safety precautions. That being said, as testing continues to be more commonplace in the new normal, tests like these will definitely become more useful.
Apart from a DIY test kit, a breath test that can accurately detect COVID-19 within 2 minutes has received provisional authorization from the Health Sciences Authority. This is the second such system to be approved here. The Tracy X breathalyzer has been shown to be almost as accurate as the PCR tests, the gold standard for testing. Compared with the PCR tests, the disposable breathalyzer's sensitivity rate was previously reported to be over 95% and its specificity more than 99%. It is also cheaper, costing around $20 or 27 Sing dollars each. Looking overseas, COVID-19 vaccines will be a key issue at the G7 summit, which starts later today, with the world's largest economies expected to agree to donate 1 billion vaccine doses to poorer countries. Already, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has promised to give at least 100 million surplus vaccines. And US President Joe Biden has pledged 500 million Pfizer shots.
The United States is providing these 500,000 doses with no strings attached. Let me say it again, with no strings attached. Our vaccine donations don't include pressure for favors or potential concessions. We're doing this to save lives.
Now, I know why our Football Mad studio director is on leave for the next 2 weeks. Euro 2020 is set to belatedly get underway tonight when Italy take on Turkey in the curtain raiser at 3 a.m. Singapore time. Delayed by a year due to the global pandemic, the tournament will run from June 11th to July 11th, played in 11 countries across Europe. Lots of exciting games to look forward to, including reigning European champions Portugal and current world champions France, who will be playing each other in the group stages. In total, 24 teams will be competing over 51 games, vying to be crowned kings of the continent. Sports correspondent David Lee joins me now. David, before we talk about the games, with several players having tested positive at their training camps, what are the organizers doing to ensure the safety of players, officials and fans? Now, we're talking about a tournament that spreads across 11 cities in Europe.
Hi. Now, I won't claim to be a health expert, but just from a commonsensical point of view, there is considerable risk to such a format as teams travel across countries to compete, as compared to having a centralized location and bubble. One team could conceivably have been to 4 different countries before they even reached the final, and overseas fans are not prohibited from attending Euro 2020, although in England they'll be required to show proof of vaccination at Wembley where the matches are played. Vaccinations are not compulsory for players though, but there will be daily tests for players, no mixed zones for the media to interview them face to face. Like you mentioned, there are already 5 players from Spain, Holland, Scotland, and Sweden who have tested positive for COVID despite the strict measures in place. So there is a real risk there will be more cases in the weeks to come. It is important to note that while the spread has eased in Europe, the situation is not entirely under control. There are still thousands who catch COVID in Europe each day, and there are people dying from it every day. But like the Olympics, there probably is too much money at stake to cancel the event, and the organizers are just going to hope that the measures put in place are enough for everyone to enjoy an explosion of football talent and not another COVID outbreak or a super spreader.
Well, there are 24 teams in the competition. Let's talk about the fan favourites, starting with England. How do you rate the Three Lions' chances?
Actually, I'm not really paying much attention to England because perhaps that's the only way they can go on and achieve something. For so long, they are the most hyped team at tournaments, that they have gone to, and they have choked most of the time. At the 2018 World Cup, few gave them a chance at the start of the tournament, but they went on to reach the semi-final, and then the hype came back again. And then they lost, of course, to a beatable Croatia in the semi-finals. But seriously, yes, there are exciting talents in this team, like Mason Mount, Phil Foden, and Marcus Rashford. But we have to realize also that these players have endured a long season in which their respective clubs made European finals. Rashford played 57 games, Mount 54, Foden 50. And Rashford already made it clear after the Europa Cup final loss that many of his teammates are pushing through injuries. And we have already seen Mason Greenwood pull out of the squad, and Harry Maguire is not going to be fully fit. So yes, they should make it out of Group D, with Croatia sorely missing a striker with Mario Mandzukic out retired, while Czech Republic and Scotland should not pose much of a threat. But from the knockout stages, I don't see them beating more experienced and more established teams. Playing at Wembley will be an incentive, but it also gives them extra pressure. And if it goes to penalties, well, they don't have the best record there, do they?
Still on the topic of fan favourites, many, including my co-host Olivia Quay, are tipping France to win. But we know that the Euros tend to surprise. Now, with 10 different winners in the past 15 competitions, do you see a dark horse emerging as a front runner this time?
Right, we have seen, of course, Denmark in the fairy tale run in '92, Greece beating Portugal in the Euro 2004. But frankly, it depends on your definition of dark horses. I'm going to agree with Arsene Wenger that France are super favourites, and just behind them, defending champions Portugal, Italy, and Belgium. I would term England, Spain, Germany, and Holland the dark horses. England I've talked about. As for a super ranked outsider, I would have to go with Denmark. They have an experienced team with one of the best goalkeepers, Kasper Schmeichel, in the team, and Christian Eriksen has found form for Inter Milan as they won the Serie A title. They never make it easy for any team to play against them, and yeah, they're my pick for super ranked outsiders.
So David, having said all that and taking all of it into consideration and account, before I let you go, I want to get your predictions. Which 2 teams will meet in the final on July 12th, and who will win?
Yeah, you're putting me a spot here because, with the current format of 6 groups of 4 and the 4 best third place teams progressing to the round of 16, many permutations can happen. So yeah, for me, if you were to ask me for finalists, France, Italy perhaps, and France to win it.
Well, we'll just have to see how things pan out. Thank you so much, David. Great insights there. That was sports correspondent David Lee on the upcoming Euro 2020 tournament that is set to start tonight. So with the Euros getting underway, here's Greg Liu with the Straits Times' top 5 players to look out for.
Number 5. Robert Lewandowski, Poland. Poland's captain and most capped player will be hoping to carry over his club form to his country. The 32-year-old is fresh from scoring a record 41 goals in the Bundesliga for Bayern Munich. Number 4. Pau Torres, Spain. Defenders rarely make lists of this sort, but the highly rated Villarreal man should be able to take the pressure in his stride. The classy 24-year-old centre-back was a stalwart for his club during their triumphant run in the Europa League, and is attracting interest from big names in the transfer market. Number 3. Jude Bellingham, England. Only 17 years old and by no means an automatic starter for England, the midfielder's potential and maturity beyond his years makes him one of the most exciting young players to watch in the Euros. Number 2. Ruben Dias, Portugal. Hailed by Jose Mourinho as the best centre-back in the world, Portugal will be relying on Diaz's stinginess at the back to let the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes and Joao Felix shine as they attempt to defend their Euro crown. And number 1. Kylian Mbappe, France. Already a World Cup winner from 2018, Mbappe will be making his first appearance at a Euro tournament at the age of 22. With his explosive pace, outrageous skill and clinical eye for a goal, Mbappe has all the right attributes to set this tournament on fire and get fans off their seats. And that's our list. Tell us which player that you are keeping an eye on for Euro 2020.
And those are our top stories for today. For more news and videos, visit straitstimes.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the red button below. Once again, I'm Haryanto Diman. Join us next week for more stories on The Big Story.